It's great to have you here. Thanks. Welcome. If this is your first time, welcome. A special welcome to you. It's kind of my first time as well, but I'm also the acting lead pastor at the same time for the first time. So we'll do this together. Yeah, that's my introduction. That's it. I was here for 8 years. I left for 4 years. I'm back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. No, Mace, nobody? Okay. Anyway, did my mom just say yes to Mace? I don't think so. You don't know Mace? Come on. Okay, but that's awesome. Breathe, stretch, shake. Let it go. Breathe, stretch, shake. Yeah, she go, wait, I don't know that. Anyway, my parents are here. Give it up for my parents. This is their first week. First week here. Amazing job. Look at that. 25 years. It's all done. All that weight's off of you. I'm feeling it. Oh, this is terrible. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's good. I'm going to introduce you to my family. The kids went this time. That's all right. Their cousins were here. I knew that was going to happen. But that's my family. Those are my two kids right there. Sierra's here. You can stand up. Say hi. Why are you sitting by yourself? Why are you sitting by yourself? Girl, sitting by yourself. We got new engaged people in the house today. Everybody stand up, stand up, stand up. Stand up. Ephraim and Megan, everybody, they just got engaged yesterday. That's two fiancés right there. Look at them. Looking yummy, fiancés. Okay. Where was I? I'm talking about my wife. There's so much happening. People like, who gave this guy this job? Like 25 people on the board, so. This is my wife, Sierra. She's awesome. I love my wife. She is brilliant. She's amazing. She is so caring, super sweet, and stubborn. That's what I can thank for you. Stubborn. And I love every second of it, by the way, for many reasons. And she is stubborn, though, and she loves like few people I know, but she's exclusive with it. And I think she's wise beyond her years for it, and I'm still trying to learn how she does that. And so those of you who get to feel her love, I would count yourself as cherished and lucky. Oh, my kids, put that picture of my kids back up because they're not here. Eden is 6. She's amazing. She's incredible. She's here. Hi. She is, we kind of named her after the Garden of Eden, which is peaceful and loving and sweet, and she is all those things. And then she got a bundle of sass up in there, too, and she'll let you know it, too. And I love that full package. I love that she's both. I hope we steward it well. And she's got all this flair for the dramatic, which I don't know where she got it from. It's kind of ridiculous. All right, she got it from me. I'm not going to lie about it. And then Zion. Right here, he's the youngest. He's 4 years old. That dude somehow at 4 is already his own man. He chooses what he wants to do when he wants to do it, and sets his mind on it, and it's done. And we're like, bro, most particular individual I ever met in my life. But we love him. He's incredible. He's brave. He's awesome. I love him. He has taught me more about the value of fighting for someone's love than anybody else, and maybe my whole life. So that's my family. That's my family. Give it up for my family one more time. As a lead pastor, I, not them. Notice I didn't use we, because I'm the lead pastor, not them. You hear that healthy separation? Church, family. Me, Daniela, and Joel, as the execs, will be talking. That's the we I'm using this time. Not them, me, and the execs in the organization. You see what I'm doing? Okay. It's all right. We'll catch them. We are going to be talking about church vision in September. It's going to be in a series called Blueprint. I'm really excited for that. But before we get into talking about kind of the vision of the church and all this other stuff that we hope to accomplish and hope to do and hope to grow into. Before we get there, I want to talk about a topic that I think is super important. And I don't think it's just super important in religious circles, in church circles. I think it's super important within our society. I think it's huge. It's massive. You can find it everywhere. You can find it anywhere. It's all throughout our society. But before we get to the issue, I want to talk about some of our mission as Christians. I think our mission as Christians, as Jesus followers, we have a couple things. So if you're a Jesus follower in the room, I would think that we have a couple of entities that we should be pursuing or hoping to have in our life. And those three entities that I want to key up real fast are love, joy, and peace. Love, joy, and peace. These are three entities that as Christians, they should be missional. They should be something that we embody. Paul in 1 Corinthians 13, what's he say? He says, you might be able to talk like, you might be able to talk in languages of angels and all these other things, right? But if you have not love, you sound like what? A resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. I used to come over here when I preach this, and I would just smash on a cymbal for like a minute straight just to get the point across. I won't do that to you guys today. Some of you are getting scared already. We're not going to do that because it's horrible. It's atrocious. Right? But that's what Paul's saying. That's what you sound like without love in your life. That's what you sound. I don't care what kind of wisdom you got. I don't care what kind of knowledge you think you have. If you're walking around without love in your heart for the other person that you're talking to, you got nothing. You sound horrible. You sound crass. Jesus said, they will know you are my followers. My followers, not Christians, my followers. He said my disciples, like someone who follows me. They will know you are my followers based on your love for one another. It's interesting the lines sometimes we subconsciously omit, right? Am I right? We sometimes, just love, just basic love. No, love for one another. They will know you are my followers based on your love for one another. This is a characteristic that we are meant to walk in, talk in, act in, look like, smell like, act like, all of it. Love. Another mission is joy. Jesus said, this is crazy. Jesus says rejoice. In what? In the midst of persecution. Rejoice. And he says rejoice and be glad. He's like, whatever joy is, also be happy about it. How do you even do that? Paul says it this way. He says, rejoice in the Lord, what? Always. And then he doubles down. And again, like you ain't going to hear it. Rejoice in the Lord, always. But you didn't hear it. And again, I say, rejoice. Again, joy is meant to be something that's constantly stirring, that's constantly, it's an entity, it's a quality, it's a characteristic of a Jesus follower. Love, joy, and then you got peace. I love this one. Jesus actually says, I left you with something. You know what it is? Peace. He said, peace I leave with you. My peace I give to you. I love it. Do not let your hearts be troubled and do not be afraid. Where my Jesus followers been at the last couple weeks? Do not let your hearts be troubled and do not be afraid. Where is that happening? All I hear is fear-mongering. The world's going to burn. It's all going up in flames. We don't know what they're doing. You don't know what they're doing. I'm not even trying to go there. I got to move on. Do not let your hearts be troubled and do not be afraid. Paul says, if at all possible, be at peace with everyone. James said it this way, and the fruit of justice is sown in peace. That's a different definition of justice than I've been given my whole life then. Because all the justice we talk about doesn't feel peaceful to me. What are we doing? And I know, right? Like, last service I said that, and it was like, I guess it's Jesus, Paul, and James, so I got to be like, okay with this, but I'm not happy about it. Kind of like what's happening now. Our mission, the entities, the characteristics that we are meant to carry with us as Jesus followers are meant to be love, joy, and peace. We are meant to sow a life of peace, to live joyful lives, and to love one another so greatly that we are known primarily by that characteristic, and therefore there must be a massive problem. There must be a massive problem in our world. And again, I said it. It's not just religious circles. It's our world. You can find this problem. You can find it in Target. I went to Target this morning. You can find it in Target. I went to Starbucks. I found it at Starbucks. I found it in my house. I found it in your house. One time I went to somebody else's house and I found this issue. It was right there in their house. Man, I'm telling you, sometimes it gets into my bedroom. It's not just a church issue. It's not just a church issue. It's a global issue. It's our society issue. And this issue is we are in too much of a rush. We are in too much of a hurry to genuinely love, to find joy, and to sow peace. How could I genuinely love somebody? How could I find joy? And how could I sow peace? It's impossible. I have to rush everywhere. I got to rush to get to work. And so I could get to work. And then I get to work. I crank out. I got to rush through my work. Like 3 or 4 hours of that work. Why? Because I got to get to lunch break. And once I get to lunch break, I got to rush through my lunch break. Why? I got 3 errands. I got to rush through those errands. I still got to go to the bank. I got to rush back to work. I got to crank through the next couple hours of work. Why? Because then I get to rush home. And when I rush home, I get to rush through dinner. And when I rush through dinner, I rush to put the kids to bed. Then I rush through a TV show where I could drink beer, eat chips while simultaneously sleeping so that I can rush through my sleep so that I can get into the point where I rush back into that next day and I get to do it all over again. Woohoo! Some of y'all like, you're insane. No, you're insane because that's your life. That's the world you live in. Yeah, it is. And Starbucks keeps me up. What's wrong with us? I'm not even going to touch on it, and if anything slows us down. If one thing slows us down, if the cable guy doesn't show up, I'm preaching to myself. Spectrum, if you're listening, it's been 6 weeks. 6 weeks, 5 canceled appointments. If anyone from Spectrum is listening, please send help now. We have 2 kids under the age of 6. You know not what you do to us. That was it. We're done. How could I possibly genuinely love, find joy, and sow peace when I simply don't have the time? I don't have time to do it. I'm too busy with all these other distractions, all these other methods, all these other things that I'm trying to rush through. I'm way too busy. But it didn't used to always be like this. In fact, it's not even like this in every culture. I had a friend, Michael Solis Conchumania. He's from Costa Rica. Say that name 5 times fast. He's from Costa Rica. He went to the discipleship program I went to. And he was always late. I'm not talking like 5 minutes late. I'm talking like late. Like, hey, bro, we're all in the car now. Oh, I guess I better go shower and change. What are you doing? Get in the car. Well, I haven't done anything. Get in the car. I don't care. I'm wearing the same boxers I wore last week. Get in. I don't care. Get it? It was like that. It was that bad. It's like he'd be 30 minutes late, 40 minutes late. We'd always make fun of him. We'd like make it light, but one day he's like, I don't like you guys always making fun of me. There's a lot of, it's hard transition to America. We don't really do time like that in Costa Rica. I was 19, so I knew how the rest of the world operates. So I was like, yeah, right, Michael. Like, yes, you do. Come on, bro. Give it. Like, what are you talking about? Yes, you do. You deal with times like, no, we really don't. I'm like, well, Michael, if you want to go to the mall with your friends, what do you do? What time do you go? In the afternoon. In the afternoon. No, you don't go in the afternoon. What do you mean in the afternoon? What time? We just say in the afternoon. So what happens if it's 2 p.m. and you get there at 2 p.m. and your friends are there? Then they're not there. Okay, what happens if you stay for 2 hours and then you want to leave, but they just show up at 4 p.m.? Then I leave. You live your life like, yes, that's how it, and I later learned it's not just Costa Rican time. They've kind of adopted, it's Latin time. They love it. We got some Latin fans in the house. Let's go. I'm not hating. I just never knew that a society existed like that in current day world. And it's beautiful, and it's not wrong. In fact, we've had more unmeasured days in the history of our globe than measured days. If we go back as far, we only have to go back as far, maybe it would be a better way of saying it, to 200 BC. It's 2,200 years ago. People were complaining about what the sundial was doing to society. The Roman playwright Plautus wrote this. He said, the gods confound the man who first found out how to distinguish hours. Confound him too, who in this place set up a sundial to cut and hack my days so wretchedly into small portions. Over the sundial. By the way, the next time your boss calls you, he's like, you're running a little late. You just use a little Plautus. I'm like, the gods confound the man. How dare you hack my days into wretched sections? I don't know. All right. This is a play, right? I try to adopt. Okay. All the bosses and employers in here are like, stop. Don't give him that. No, I have to listen to Plautus. He's talking about a sundial. A sundial. And it's an understatement to say that life has only quickened since. In fact, let's just talk about like the last 120 years. About 100 or 136 years. 136 years ago, the automobile was first patented in 1886. And it looked like that. It wasn't actually commercialized or used. In fact, most average homes didn't own one. An average home started owning them in about the 1930s. 1930s. That's not that long ago. For some of you millennials, that's like 90 years ago. I'm a millennial. Gen Zers, I don't know what we're talking about. 119 years ago, the first plane was flown. 119 years ago. It wasn't until the 1950s that people even started flying commercial. That's like 70 years ago. That's one generation. People, in order to get from here to there, people had to find other modes of transportation. You could not just jump on a plane. You had to take what's called a boat across the big blue piece of water. A boat. And if you wanted to go vertically, you would take a train. This is how we got around 70 years ago. Since 1954, we've seen the birth of the microwave, the hard drive, the jet airliner, cordless tools in 1960, satellite technology, radios in cars weren't even streamlined until the 1960s. So just think about that, by the way, for a minute. In between 1930s and 60s, when someone went for a drive in their car, what were they listening to? Just what would they do? Just like sit, silence, stuff. Where was their phones? Freeway systems, 1960s and 1970s. In the last 50 years, since 1970, this is in the last 50 years, this is the amount of technological advancements: fiber optics, barcode technology, personal computers, GPS, Microsoft, DNA fingerprinting, electronic mailing lists, World Wide Web, that's the internet. Photoshop, Predator. I know somebody in here needed to hear that, so that was for you. Bless you. That's what the WWW stands for. Lock it in. You know now. World Wide Web, the internet, Photoshop, Predator drone, DVDs, Bluetooth, Wikipedia, Facebook, iPhone, Bitcoin, Siri, Oculus, electric cars, and metal 3D printing. With all these inventions and technological advancements, scholars and thinkers in the 1950s and 60s legitimately thought that you would have so much time because this would hack our lives that you wouldn't know what to do with it. In fact, there was a Senate committee in 1967 that said, that legitimately thought, they said the average American by 1985 will work 20 hours a week for 27 weeks a year. Because of the technological advancements. In other words, they thought you're actually going to have so much leisure time, you won't know what to do with it. You'll get to know yourself. You'll get to know your family. You'll get to know your friends. You'll sit with yourself. You'll center yourself. You'll be able to sow so much life, joy, and peace. Then you'll get done with all of that, and you'll be like, I just still have so much time. I don't know what to do with it all. That's what they thought the technological advancements would give us, would grant us. Instead, we developed TikTok. In a minute, I'm gonna need a sentimental man or woman. Feeling fussy in my bussy, about to bring out the fabulous. Yes, send that one. That was good. That's what we did with it. We took all this beautiful technology and we did that. Instead of getting our lives back, instead of getting our time back, instead of learning to love ourselves, to love the people closest to us, to actually spend time with them, instead of that, the sad reality is so many of us live in the midst of rushing like never before as we fight through an epidemic of anxiety and fear. We've traded the pursuit of a life of peace for a disease that's now being referred to as hurry sickness. Meyer Friedman was the one who originally coined the phrase hurry sickness. After noticing that most of his at-risk cardiovascular patients displayed a harrowing sense of time urgency. And he said it in the 50s, before all the things I just listed were invented. He defined hurry sickness as a continuous struggle, an unremitting attempt. Did this just get super echoey? I'm paying attention to this too much. He defined hurry sickness as a continuous struggle and unremitting attempt to accomplish or achieve more and more things or participate in more and more events in less and less time. Sound like anybody? Here's another definition: a behavior pattern characterized by continual rushing and anxiousness. And one more: a malaise in which a person feels chronically short of time and so tends to perform every task faster and to get flustered when encountering any kind of delay. So how do you know if you have this issue, this epidemic? I would say most of us, hopefully, if we're being honest, are already like, yeah, I got it. It's bad. But that's part of this book. So John Mark Comer takes this thought process of hurry sickness, and he outlines 10 symptoms of hurry sickness. And we want to go through them. And in a second, they're going to put slides on the screen as we read through them. And what I'm going to invite you into and what I'm going to ask you to do is just take an inventory. This isn't about guilt. This isn't about shame. It's not about any of that. And we'll come back to it. This is just about taking inventory in your life and being made aware of some of the stuff, some of the issues, some of the things that, man, I should be paying attention to this. How can we address it? How can I start to work against it? Number one, irritability. You get mad, frustrated, or just annoyed way too easily. Little normal things irk you. People have to tiptoe around your ongoing low-grade negativity, if not anger. By the way, a better metric for this one is not the people you work with or when you go out in public, but the people you live with in the private of your own home. Number two, hypersensitivity. All it takes is a minor comment to hurt your feelings, a grumpy email to set you off, or a little turn of events to throw you into an emotional funk and ruin your day. Number three, restlessness. When you actually do try to slow down and rest, you can't. You give Sabbath a try and you hate it. You read scripture but find it boring. You have quiet time with God but can't focus your mind. You go to bed early but toss and turn with anxiety. You watch TV but simultaneously check your phone, fold laundry, and get into a spat on Twitter. Your mind and body are hyped up on the drug of speed, and when they don't get the next dopamine fix, they shiver. Number four, workaholism, or just nonstop activity. You just don't know when to stop. Or worse, you can't stop. Another hour, another day, another week. Your drugs of choice are accomplishment and accumulation. Number five, emotional numbness. You just don't have the capacity to feel another's pain, or your own pain for that matter. Empathy is a real feeling for you. You just don't have the time for it. You live in this kind of constant fugue. Number six, out of order priorities. You feel disconnected from your identity and calling. You're always getting sucked into the tyranny of the urgent, not the important. Your life is reactive, not proactive. You're busier than ever before, yet still feel like you don't have time for what really matters to you. Months often go by, or years. Or God forbid, maybe it's been decades, and you realize you still haven't gotten around to all the things you said were the most important in your life. Number 7, lack of care for your body. You don't have time for the basics. 8 hours of sleep a night, daily exercise, healthy, home-cooked food, minimal stimulants, margin. You gain weight. You get sick multiple times a year. You regularly wake up tired. You don't sleep well. You live off the 4 horsemen of the industrialized food apocalypse: caffeine, sugar, processed carbs, and alcohol. Number 8, escapist behaviors. When we're too tired to do what's actually life-giving for our souls, we each turn to our distraction of choice: overeating, overdrinking, binge-watching Netflix, browsing social media, surfing the web. Name your preferred cultural narcotic. Narcotics are good, healthy even, on an occasional and short-term basis when they shield us from unnecessary pain. But when we abuse them to escape from reality, they eat us alive. You find yourself stuck in the negative feedback loop of socially acceptable addictions. Number 9. Slippage of spiritual disciplines. Quiet time in the morning, scripture, prayer, Sabbath, worship on a Sunday, a meal with your community, time with self, time with family, and so on. Finally, number 10, isolation. You feel disconnected from God, others, and your own soul. On those rare times when you actually stop to pray, you're so stressed and distracted that your mind can't settle down long enough to enjoy the Father's company. And even when you're alone, you come face to face with the void that is your soul and immediately run back to the familiar groove of busyness and digital distraction. Again, don't worry. You're not alone. I think maybe like the healthiest person in here would score like 3 out of 10. And even then, I'm like, you're lying. I got 10 out of 10. It's 100. Again, I want to say, reject any guilt or shame you're feeling right now. It's not God. It's not the agenda. And it's not the point of this exercise. The point of it is the point that we're driving toward is this: an over-busy, hurried life of speed is the new normal in the Western world. And it's toxic. It's toxic. Again, especially as Jesus followers, our mission, our thought process is that we would carry the characteristics of what he walked in, and what he walked in was love, joy, and peace. And if this is the antithesis of love, joy, and peace, then we can't have this and love, joy, and peace. And so if we're all consumed with this, then we're not giving genuine love, we're not finding joy, and we're not sowing peace. We have to be not just aware of it, but we have to start to combat it. We've got to work against it with something. And I love that this is the hope of why we're here, right? Is that I'm not here to just talk about, wow, look at that. Look at how bad we all are. Look how bad I am. Look how bad you are. Look at this. Oh, man, it's terrible. No, we're here to actually offer hope, to offer life. And I believe that that we have a creator, and he came down. He came down in human flesh as Jesus, and he was like, let me show you the rhythm to walk in. Let me show you the way life can be. And it was a beautiful life. Sometimes we skip over that fact. We just get to the death on a cross, but we miss the beautiful life that he lived. For 33 years, he actually walked, and he ate, and he drank, and he laughed, and he danced, and he sang, and it was freaking awesome. It was so amazing that the religious people of the day hated him for it. It was so amazing that the political people of the day were threatened by it. That's why he died. Because he lived in so much love, so much joy, and so much peace. And they're like, you're not allowed to do that. Why? Because our religious rules say so. Well, I'm going to do it anyway. Well, you're not allowed. Why? Because our political ideologies are not going to allow for it. So we're going to show it, we're going to prove it, and we're going to mock you by putting you on a cross. And then eventually, day in and day out, after he left, there was Christian after Christian, after Jesus follower, after Jesus follower, after Jesus follower that said, I reject the religion too. I reject the political ideology as well. I will walk in love, joy, and peace if it kills me. And they said, it will. And they said, then kill us. And they did. But they were standing for those entities and those characteristics. They were not standing for shame and guilt. It was the antithesis of it. We have a creator who had a different lifestyle, a different type of lifestyle. And to those of you who are weary and burdened, and when you read those 10 things, you go, man, that's me. And I'm so tired of it, and I'm burdened by it. There is a God, there is a creator named Jesus. And he said in Matthew 11, 28 through 30, he said, come to me, you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you wrath, justice, and anger. It's kind of funny, but it's not, because it's how we freaking live as American Christians. It doesn't say that. He did not come. He does not say, come to me with all your baggage, and I will show you the wrath, and I will show you the anger, and I will show you the justice. If you don't clean it up right away, then make me come in there. Don't make me come in there. I'm sick of it. He doesn't say it. He says, come to you, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you, read it, rest. 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 He says, take my yoke upon you. Yoke, in that day and age, we'll get more into the history of another time, but it was the rabbinical teaching. That's what it meant. Every rabbi had its own teaching. And different rabbis had a really hard yoke. It was their teaching, had a really hard teaching. And you had to go through X, Y, and Z to get through. This is how it worked. And every rabbi had a different one. And some people are like, dude, that rabbi, he got a hard yoke. That's crazy. I ain't going through that. That teaching, that lifestyle, I ain't about it. Jesus shows up and says, my teaching, my lifestyle, my practices for you, you know what it's about? Learn from me. Take my yoke upon you. Take my teaching. Take my lifestyle. Take the way I've walked, the way I've talked upon you, and learn from me. For I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find, let me double down on it, rest for your souls. You will find rest for your souls. And I love this. For my teaching, my lifestyle, my practices, the way I walk, the way I talk, it is easy. 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 Where is that in the American church? Where is it? Where is it? Because all I've been hearing most of my life, walking around these sanctuaries after sanctuary after worship center is how hard it is to be a Christian. How hard it is to be Jesus. Oh my God, son, don't do it. You never want to do it, but to God be the glory. Just take me, God, but to you be the glory. That sucks. That's what I've heard my whole life. Where is that in what Jesus said? For my yoke is easy. My lifestyle is easy. It doesn't mean it's cake. It's still life. Welcome to it. This is what we got. But comparatively, when we see society and they're like, this is hard and the burden is heavy, we're supposed to be up like, yeah, what's up, Bob? How you doing, man? And we walk by him like living life. We have love. We have joy. We have peace. And he's like, I don't understand it. This life sucks. It's so hard. It's so heavy. How are you doing that? And you're like, I'm not doing much. Hey, oh, you know what? Oh, right. My bad, Bob. I forgot. So I adopted the principles of this dude named Jesus like 2,000 years ago. I started following his path. I started following the way he lived, the way he talked, the way he walked. And I don't know. Life actually got easier and the burden got a lot lighter. I don't know, man. If you want some, come get it. My yoke is easy. My burden is light. We've got to get that through to us. In other words, if we are starting to walk, at least in our spiritual journeys, and it is getting so hard, and it is getting so heavy, you're doing something wrong. You're welcome. You're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong. We all have life. I'm not saying that, oh, it's just easy, whatever. But my life is beautiful. At 32 years old, my wife's 28. We talk about it. We've talked about it since we moved here. Like, how did this happen? We never pursued this stuff. We never fought for this life. We were never the American dream, white picket fence. We didn't chase after that. We didn't pursue that. We didn't fight for that. It wasn't the thing. We followed in Jesus' footsteps. And I'm telling you, our life is not perfect, but we sit back many nights and go, man, it's incredible what God's done for us, with us, in us. This is the best life. His yoke, his teaching, his lifestyle is easy, and his burden is light. And I believe he's inviting us into that life. He's inviting you into that life. The 4 S's is all about 4 secrets to get your life back. I'm going to plug the book one more time. Because what I love about John Mark Comer, this idea of, actually what we're talking about is soul care, actually. I think it's mental health care. I think it's emotional care. I think it's social care. I think it's spiritual care. But it's coined as soul care. Dallas Willard, a long time ago, came up with it. If you don't know Dallas Willard Theological Seminary. He's got seminaries named after him. He's a pretty big deal in the theological world, the Western theological world. Nobody cares about that detail. He got with a guy named John Ortberg, and John Ortberg wrote a book called Soul Keeping. And in it, they talk about this idea of the ruthless elimination of hurry. And John Mark Comer got it as he was a mega church pastor, about 10,000 people at his church at 28 years old. And he realized he's not living that type of life. And so he left that church. He still stayed at that church, but took a campus pastor job and started living this life. And he wrote this book off of it, not off of the way he lived his life, but off of the way he believes, and I believe that Jesus lived his life. And so in this book, and what we're going to discuss for the next 4 weeks are the 4 secrets that are not really secrets. Jesus displayed them really, really openly. But in our society, in our church world, for whatever reason, we have poured over them a bunch of distractions, over busied, hurried life, and we can't even find out how they are, where they are, where they're at. But he outlines them so well, and there's 4 of them. They each start with an S. The 4 S's. And it's not the 4-letter S word. Some of you were so disappointed. And that's what we're going to talk about. It is the lifestyle, the practices that Jesus walked in. And I believe that as we start to walk in them, Jesus has so much love, joy, and peace beyond your wildest understanding. And he wants to offer it to you in your life, in the privacy of your life, where maybe nobody else can see it. But as he starts to do that in the privacy, in the private moments of your life, eventually it will become more and more public. It will start to overflow. And that's where people start to look and go, whoa, what happened? And you go, dude, it's incredible, right? Yes, where'd you get that? Come on, man. Just put some practice. Jesus did it. That carpenter from 2,000 years ago? Yeah, I don't know. Changed my life. I believe Jesus is inviting you right now. You can bow your head real fast. Close your eyes. I believe he's inviting you right now to begin to follow him. To follow him. It could be as simple as buying a book like this, cracking it open, and starting to learn more about him. It could be saying yes to following him in your heart or your mind right now. It could be a myriad of things. But I believe that the way he lived his life could radically change yours, step by step by step. And he's inviting you into that process right now. If that's you, I'm just going to encourage you. I don't encourage you. You could say yes. You could begin. That's my biggest encouragement. It is following him. It's not a moment that you say yes. It is making a decision. I am going to start following his life. God, I thank you for this service. I thank you for this time. I pray that you continue to bless it. I pray that you continue to go after it. And I pray that we would continue to learn your lifestyle and your practices over the next 4 weeks, that we would adopt them, that we would put them into our life, that we would work at ruthlessly eliminating hurry, that we would live these beautiful, amazing lives to our fullest, to the purpose that you have for us. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. Thank you, New Life. Thank you for being here. If you want or need prayer, we'll have people underneath the screens here that you can pray for online. We love you. Thanks for tuning in. Also, if you want or need prayer, you can put right in the chat, I need some prayer, and one of our hosts will be with you. We love you. Have an amazing week. We'll be right back here next week for our first S word.